Welcome back, dear viewers, to this edition of Nile Cruise, which you're watching with Rana Al-Assas and myself, Mohamed Abdurrahim. Prospects for Egypt's winter tourism season are promising, with more and more people getting vaccinated and safety measures applied throughout the country. The country announced earlier this year that it had vaccinated all workers in the tourism sector in the Red Sea resorts, with vaccination efforts ongoing for tourism workers in Luxor and Aswan. And we are honored to have with us here on Nile Cruise Dr. Mahmoud Halwagy, the former manager of the Tahrir iconic museum, the Egyptian Museum, of course, to tell us more about the state's efforts and preparations for the winter season. Thank you, Dr. Halwagy, for being with us. Always a great pleasure to have you.
Thank you. In fact, the state is giving a great care of keeping and preserving and conserving archaeological sites and developing these areas, all touristic areas and museums, to send a message to the whole world that Egypt is taking care of its heritage, antiquities, and is giving a great care. This is the significance of such a great project of developing the archaeological site in Luxor, in Sphinx Avenue or Rams Avenue. And at the same time, it will be a great inauguration and a great celebration, not only for the Sphinx Avenue, but also for the whole city of Luxor, celebrating this project and the anniversary of 99 years of discovery of King Tutankhamun, the very, very famous pharaoh in modern Egypt, while he was not very well in ancient Egypt, since he was young boy, ruled Egypt for 9 years and died very soon when he was about 18 years old. So all this celebration and inaugurations is reflecting the care of the state about the file of archaeology and antiquities and Egyptian civilization.
Mr. Halwagy, how far will this project boost classical tourism in Egypt?
This great project of the Sphinx Avenue, which is the celebration not only for this project but also it will be everywhere in Luxor. Like visitors will have some fun during this celebration in Luxor and in east and west of Luxor, on the River Nile and everywhere. This, I think, will help in promoting tourism coming to Egypt during this period.
Is there going to be any advertisements, sir, which will let the tourists abroad know more about this celebration and that's going to take place in Luxor? Or they're going to be here by coincidence and then they're going to see that there's a celebration? Or there's already plans to let people abroad know that there's a certain celebration that's going to take place in 2 to 3 weeks' time or in the near future?
It's already planned by Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities.
Tourism and Antiquities, Mr. Khaled Aleni.
Yes, and the whole government is working for this file. They planned and they announce everywhere through our embassies all over the world and our through media and all social media and TVs programs and all newspapers. This was intended and planned. It was not just for accident for just coming visitors,
So
but
they're not going to be coming by accident, they're going to be coming on purpose.
on purpose.
To attend the celebration.
Exactly, exactly.
Dr. Halwagy, while excavating the avenue of the Sphinxes in Luxor, archaeologists discovered three ancient stone ram heads. Now, this new discovery is seen as an advertisement for one of the largest projects in Luxor. Why the archaeological discoveries, in your view, in Egypt always dazzle the world?
Of course, the discovery of these new ram's heads is a great development, I mean advertisement for Egypt image and for the Egyptian history and civilization, because it's always reminding the whole world about history and civilization of Egypt. At the same time, as you mentioned, Egypt is dazzling the whole world. You cannot imagine that each person in everywhere is always dreaming of Egypt and dreaming of coming to visit Egypt to see pyramids, to see Luxor and Aswan, to see the moderate weather in such winter. And this is really a great advertisement for Egypt. And every day we hear about a new discovery, whether in Luxor, in Aswan, in Giza, in Saqqara, even in Delta. So this is making the whole world every day is remembering Egypt, and everyone is remembering his dream to come to see Egyptian history and Egyptian civilization.
In your opinion, how can we invest in these discoveries that are taking place? And do you see that these discoveries pay more attention, makes the tourists pay more attention to coming to Luxor and to seeing what's taking place in Luxor, and the importance of investing in these discoveries, sir?
Of course, this discoveries is a great investment for the Egyptian tourism and encourages more visitors to come to visit Egypt, especially with such celebrities and discoveries. I think this would help in increasing numbers of visitors coming to Egypt, especially in the winter, which is a big point of Egyptian tourism. Egypt always is a dream for everybody, especially Europeans and Americans, to come to Egypt in winter time to have or to enjoy the weather and the sun, and not only the weather and the sun and antiquities, but also the Egyptian citizens and Egyptian civilization, and the friendly welcoming Egyptians to all visitors coming to Egypt. So I think we can invest these discoveries and celebrations to the whole world, to encourage visitors to come, or to increase the number of visitors coming to Egypt through this time of the year.
Yes, Dr. Halwagy, what made our pride grow more by this project is that it was conducted by the Egyptian restorers. So your intake on this?
Of course, we are very proud of Egyptian restorers and conservators and Egyptian Egyptologists who are doing a great success in this field, and we are proud of skillfulness of the Egyptian restorers and conservators, because this shows that Egypt is capable to conserve and to preserve its own heritage, and is not waiting for some others to come to help us or to help in our projects of conservation and restoration of Egyptian antiquities and Egyptian heritage.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, of course, as you know, the emergency law is no more in action here in Egypt after 4 years. How far did this decision help in promoting the safety and security of the image of Egyptian, of course, abroad, and for the tourists to come to Egypt and feel safe and secure?
Thank you for mentioning this point, because this is a very, very essential point. In fact, it's a kind of intelligence of President Sisi that to declare that, to announce that to the whole world in this time, because this is, as you mentioned, is prompting the image, the secure image of Egypt, and it gives an idea, and it gives a message for the people who are sometimes are caring and afraid to go somewhere. I don't mean Egypt, but in general, some governments prevents their citizens to go somewhere in the Middle East because it's a hot point in the world. But this is giving the security and safe for the image of Egypt. This means that Egypt is having a very peaceful time and very secure, and Egypt is very strong. I mean, it reflects the life of Egypt and the political circumstances, and the security of Egypt gives a chance to everybody to come to Egypt, especially with what you mentioned before.
Dr. Halwagy, last year Luxor celebrated the 98th anniversary of Tutankhamun tomb discovery, and this year it celebrated the inauguration of the Avenue of the Sphinxes, of course. How far do these celebrations help in promoting Luxor's tourism? Of course, Luxor is a major tourist destination, is the biggest city in the world. You're the one that knows more than anyone that has the world's monuments and treasures. But again, these celebrations, these discoveries, how do they help promote tourism there even more?
I think that celebrating, as you mentioned, last year we celebrated the 98th anniversary of discovering of Tutankhamun tomb, discovered by Howard Carter in 1922, in the 4th of November. By the way, it was planned that 4th of November this year, celebrating the 99th anniversary, but for the project of the Sphinx Avenue and for the huge celebration, they postponed the celebration of discovery of Tutankhamun as 99 years until the inauguration of Sphinx Avenue, and inaugurating Luxor City as an open museum for the whole world.
Next year will be the centennial. I mean, next year will be 100 years. That shall
exactly,
be a big event.
And also it will be a great celebration for the centenary of the discovery of King Tutankhamun, who dazzled the whole world since the discovery up till now. So I think these events and these celebrations will help for the promotion of the image of Egypt, and increasing the tourism coming to Egypt. I think this is a good point of investing this celebration and these events for the tourism coming to Egypt.
Mr. Halwagy, last year, Luxor celebrated the 98th anniversary of the Tutankhamun tomb discovery, and this year it celebrated the inauguration of the Avenue of Sphinx. How far do these celebrations help in promoting Luxor as a touristic destination?
I think this will help to increase the image of Egypt and the image of Luxor. Luxor is a very immortal place, not only in ancient Egypt but also in the recent Egypt. If Egypt has 1/3 of the whole world antiquities, Luxor is having 1/3 of Egyptian antiquities. It has most of the temples, most of the tombs, royal tombs in west of Bank of Thebes, of Luxor, many of archaeological sites in Luxor. This is makes the image of Luxor well known and is very clear to whole world, and again is we giving this the spotlight of Luxor by these events and this celebration, and this also sends message to the whole world to come to Egypt to enjoy the antiquities, the civilization of ancient Egypt, as well as civilization of modern Egypt.
Dr. Halwagy, after the opening of the Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada museums, the Tourism and Antiquities Minister announced that Egypt will be launching direct flights from Sharm el-Sheikh to Luxor and from Hurghada to Aswan to enable tourists to enjoy, the cultural tourism. So how do you view this?
I see that the Egyptian state is doing or exerting its utmost to facilitate the visit of Egypt to its visitors. So in order to make Egypt is easily accessible to all the visitors, so we reopened new flights from Hurghada to Luxor, from Sharm el-Sheikh to Aswan, to encourage the visitors who are coming only for entertainment, but also to encourage them to have some intellectual and cultural visits to Luxor and Aswan. At the same time, Egypt opened a new museum in Hurghada and in Sharm el-Sheikh. This also to change the attitude of visitors who are coming only for entertainment, for having sun rays, swimming, diving in Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh. So also they can have the chance to visit the museum of Sharm el-Sheikh and the museum of Hurghada to have an idea about ancient Egyptian civilization and the ancient Egyptian heritage through these two new modern museums. And if they have more time, they can fly to Luxor and Aswan to enjoy more and more about ancient Egypt and civilization of ancient Egypt.
Mr. Halwagy, Luxor International Airport is being decorated to revive tourists from all around the world, of course. How far does the image of the airport enhance promoting the great city? And do you believe that this image prepares the tourist for the beauty that the tourist will witness during his visit in Luxor or in Egypt as a whole?
Yeah, this is a good point that the Luxor airport is decorating to welcome the visitors coming to Luxor and coming to Egypt. This decoration I think would help the visitor to enjoy his visit to Egypt and to Luxor, as well as is to digest and the knowledges about Egypt which he will witness during visiting the archaeological sites, museums in Luxor, and having an idea about heritage and civilization in Luxor, and this will prepare the visitors at the first moment he reaches Luxor. So the airport would prepare the visitors to enjoy their visit and to enable them to visit Egypt very easily and accessibly, and it will always keep them remember Egypt from the first sight and from the first moment when they reach Luxor at the Luxor airport. Therefore, I think this preparation and this decoration would help very much tourism to come to Egypt.
Right. Sir, the reopening of several museums, several new museums in different governorates and of different types and themes emphasizes the unprecedented support that the state gives to tourism and its antiquities sector. Your intake on this, especially the reopening of new, the opening, the creation and the reopening or restoration of older museums.
This is a very good point. Is that Egypt is reopening some museums after development, and also some archaeological sites after development. This is a good point. I think it will promote and would help visitors for Egypt. I think also is giving a very important message to the whole world that Egypt in its modern era is taking care of its past and its history and civilization, is not only doing a modern projects for the modern time, but also we are very caring of our past history and past history and civilization, and taking care of our heritage and preserving and conserving and developing our archaeological sites, not only for tourism but also for the image of Egypt. Egypt today and Egypt past, ancient history of ancient Egypt, and this gives a great support to the modern republic.
Dr. Halwagy, as part of the Tourism and Antiquities Ministry's strategy for digital transformation, some museums operated e-payment machines for museum entry tickets.
Yes.
Would you tell us more about this move and its significance and the ministry's project to develop visitor service?
This is a trend of the Egyptian government and Egyptian state, that transformation for digital transformation for all ministries and all institutions, as well as museums and archaeological sites. Some museums started these e-tickets, and this transformation, I believe, would make the visitor.
I think the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir started actually.
Exactly, that's true. This enables the visitors.
You used to manage for years and years. The one that you must miss at the moment.
Of course, it was my pleasure, of course, to be a general director of the Egyptian Museum. I witnessed a very important period of this museum during the revolution. I think this, as you mentioned, the transformation,
Yes,
digital
it already took
transformation,
place in the
started
Egyptian
already
Museum
in
in
the
Tahrir,
Egyptian
yes.
Museum. I think this facilitate the accessibility of the visitor to a museum instead of standing in rows for some time to get the ticket and spend some or wasting some time of their important and very
Precious moments here in
precious
Egypt.
moment
They're
in Egypt,
facilitating the means of entrance into the museum or any museum
or
to make it easier.
to make the visitor feel happy, to feel comfort, to enjoy the time, to enjoy the Egyptian visit, and to enjoy the Egyptian civilization and Egyptian heritage. This is a good point of transformation from manual type to digital type.
Dr. Al-Halwagy, do you believe that the inauguration of GEM, I mean the long-awaited inauguration of the Grand Egyptian Museum, GEM, will change the tourism map in Cairo and Giza, and if so, how will it?
I think that the inauguration of the Grand Egyptian Museum, GEM, will change the pattern of visitors coming to Egypt and coming to Cairo. Of course, the Grand Egyptian Museum, GEM, is a very great project and a great museum in our area, in the Middle East, in Africa, and it will be one of the most important museums which houses a civilization, Egyptian civilization, all over the world. Besides the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square, of course, Tahrir Square will be devoted for the masterpieces of ancient Egyptian art, and the Grand Egyptian Museum will be devoted for the ancient history of Egypt. It will show the reality and divinities in ancient Egypt. It will show the royal families. It also will expose member of governments like ministers or prime ministers, also high priests and commander officers, all aspects, all aspects of ancient Egyptian history and society.
Okay, of course, we were honored to have you with us today in today's episode of Nile Cruise, Dr. Mohamed Halwagy, former manager of the Egyptian Museum, to tell us more about the state's preparation for the winter season, the impact of what's going on and the renovation that's taking place in Luxor, and of course the impact of everything on tourism here in Egypt and how far tourism has reached in Egypt. Thank you so much for joining us in today's episode, sir. And it's always a pleasure to add us informative knowledge because you're, of course, one of the icons in the world of experts.
Thank you.
In
Thank you.
We always enjoy listening to you, Dr. Halwagy.
It's my pleasure. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dr. Halwagy.